Welcome to TechWhistle. In this episode, we'll focus on filtering and element operations in LINQ. That means learning how to grab the first item, the last item, or even safely handle cases when data doesn't exist. These are must-know LINQ basics that every C# developer uses daily. All right, let's start with filtering, and the most common LINQ method for that is where. On screen, you see that we've created a simple list of numbers, 1 through 6. Think of this list like a basket holding 6 apples, each labeled with a number. Now, let's say we only want the even numbers, numbers that can be divided by 2 with no remainder. Normally, without LINQ, we'd write a for-each loop, check each number with an if statement, and manually pick out the ones we want. That works, but it's a lot of extra code. With LINQ, it's much simpler. Look at this line. var evens equals numbers.where ends n %2 equals 0. Here's what's happening step by step. Numbers is our collection, the list of integers. Where dot is the LINQ method that filters this collection. You give it a condition, and it returns only the items that match that condition. Inside the parentheses, we write n equals n %2 equals 0. This is a lambda expression. It basically says, for each number n, check if n modulo 2 equals 0. If that's true, then that number stays in the result. If it's false, that number is skipped. So behind the scenes, LINQ is going through each number. 1 not even, skip it. 2 even, include it. 3 odd, skip it. 4 even, include it. 5 odd, skip it. 6 even, include it. At the end, our filtered collection only has 2, 4, and 6. Finally, we use a for-each loop to print them out. For-each var n in evens, console.writeLine n. And in the console, the output is even numbers 2, 4, 6. This is much cleaner than writing a long loop with multiple lines of code. Next, let's talk about two very common LINQ methods, first and FirstOrDefault. These methods are all about finding the first element in a collection that matches a condition. On the screen, you'll see that we have an array of numbers. This is just a simple list containing 1, 3, 5, and 7. Notice that all of them are odd numbers. There are no evens here. Now let's see how first works. Here's the breakdown. Numbers first awk means we're asking LINQ, find the first item in this collection that matches my condition. Inside the parentheses, we write n equals n %2 equals 0. This is just a fancy way of saying, is the number odd? So LINQ checks the array from the start. The first number is 1, and yes, it's odd. That's our answer. The console prints first odd number 1. Pretty straightforward. But what if we change the condition to something that doesn't exist in the list? Let's try to get the first even number. Here's the problem. Our list has no even numbers. So when LINQ tries to execute this, first throws an exception. Basically, your program crashes because it can't find anything. And that's where FirstOrDefault comes to the rescue. The difference is that FirstOrDefault doesn't crash if nothing is found. Instead, it returns the default value for the data type. For integers, the default is 0. For strings, it would be null. For objects, also null. So in our example, the console prints first even number 0. This tells us, hey, I didn't find an even number, so here's the safe default instead of throwing an error. And that's why in real-world applications, developers often prefer FirstOrDefault when they're not 100% sure the item exists. It makes your code safer and prevents unexpected crashes. So remember, use first if you're certain the item is guaranteed to be there. Use FirstOrDefault if there's even a chance it might not exist. Now let's talk about single and SingleOrDefault. These two are really useful when you're looking for something that should only exist once. Think of single like asking, I expect exactly one match, no more, no less. If it finds that one item, everything is good, but if it finds nothing, or if it finds more than one, it doesn't know what to do, and it throws an exception. That's why you should only use single when you're absolutely sure the data will have exactly one result. In our example, we're searching for the student with ID equal to 2. Since only Bob has that ID, single finds him successfully, and we print his name to the console. Found student, Bob. Perfect. But what if we look for something that doesn't exist, like a student with ID 99? If we used single, the program would crash because there's no result at all. That's where SingleOrDefault comes in. SingleOrDefault says, I also expect only one item, but if I can't find it, instead of crashing, I'll just give you a safe default. For reference types, the default is null. For numbers, it's 0. So in our case, when we try to find student 99, SingleOrDefault returns null. And then we can handle it by printing a friendly message to the console, missing student not found. So the rule of thumb is this: use single when you're absolutely certain there must be exactly one item. Use SingleOrDefault when you're not sure if the item exists and you want to fail gracefully instead of crashing your program. This makes your code more robust, especially when working with data that may or may not exist. Let's recap what we covered today. We learned about filtering and element operations in LINQ. Use where to filter collections. First and FirstOrDefault to grab the first match, single and SingleOrDefault when you expect a unique item, and element at or default when you need an item by its index. Remember, whenever you're not sure if the data exists, always go with the OrDefault versions to avoid unexpected crashes. These methods make your code safer, cleaner, and easier to understand. Thanks so much for watching this episode. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And I'll see you in the next episode where we dive into projection and transformation.